My name is Alina Binen, and I am sitting here with Dan Dunn, the owner and CEO of HarnessPower, as well as Aparna Mola, who manages all of the corporate partnerships with GivePower. GivePower is a nonprofit organization that utilizes solar energy to provide power as well as clean water through desalination to third world countries. They actually have been able to help over 70,000 people in 9 different countries and have provided power to 65 schools so far. So Dan, you are obviously running a very successful solar company that is focused on an environmentally clean future. Why would you say clean water is specifically a focus that you are interested in?
Yeah, I actually think water and power go hand in hand. Not only do people need water, of course, but they also need power to get water sometimes. If you live in a civilized city, basically you have a water tower, but the water's pumped into the tower and then by gravity it gets to your house. If the power goes out, you no longer have clean water rushing into your house like you're used to. And so solar plus storage on the utility side would create some redundancy and actually have a great solution for that problem. But then in addition, I think water sources are polluted by bad power generation, and they're also saved by good power generation. So it's very important to have clean energy generated so that we can stop polluting the water sources of the earth, and therefore I think we go perfectly together.
I agree. That's a great answer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Aparna, you grew up in India with your sister.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What was life like before you had come over to the United States?
Yeah. Life was hard, and when I say life was hard, it's quite the understatement. We didn't have growing up the basic necessities of life. I remember sitting around candlelight for days on end, my dad singing to us to keep us entertained. I remember standing underneath a street light, holding a textbook in my hand, reading through chapters that I knew would be asked in the academic test in school the next day because we didn't have electricity at home. The only way we knew we could get out of the life and the rut that we lived in was if we got an opportunity to go live the American dream or to go into the first world countries and make something out of life to improve a standard of living for myself and for my family. So it was hard, but the best part of growing up like that in a developing country in those circumstances is that now living in the United States, working for GivePower, having partners like Harness, getting to work with you, Alina, getting to work with Dan, it just makes life so much more meaningful, fulfilling, and I feel like I've come a full circle.
So you ended up selling solar for years and actually being very good at it and making a lot of money doing it as well. What led you to want to leave that type of lifestyle in order to work for a nonprofit organization in that new type of world?
I loved that. I did it for over 8 years of my career was in the solar space specifically. But the moments that I keep very close to my heart are moments that I still remember sitting at a kitchen table with homeowners and walking them through their solar design, walking them through the process, walking them through the mission and the why behind what we do. And oftentimes in life, you don't run into an opportunity where you can do good while living well. And in our solar industry, we get that opportunity to live both. We get the opportunity to have financial freedom, provide for our family while doing good in the world. And I just decided to take that a level further to come work for GivePower simply because I feel that it's time for me to continue that legacy on the mission front and on the front of pushing the planet forward even more through GivePower.
Dan, what kind of global impact do you see your work with GivePower having?
I mean, beyond what they do on the desalination front, I've read recently that by the year 2025, up to 2/3 of the world population will have limited resources when it comes to clean water, and that's a massive problem. I think, unfortunately, the pollution aspect of clean water got a huge head start on the solar solution that we're providing. So working hand in hand, it's the only way that we know to try to take a big bite out of this problem. But globally, I mean, they're already in a lot of different countries. They're in countries we aren't affecting on a daily basis because we're US-based company that's selling solar panels to residents here. So I love how they are an extension of us internationally. I love how it, like the work we do in California can affect somebody in Kenya. That's such a cool concept to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's awesome.
That's awesome. So well said. I didn't even think about it from that lens and that perspective, but it's so true. Somebody going solar in Burbank is actually leaving an impact with somebody in Kenya or Haiti. So beautiful.
And to piggyback off of that, you know, so Harness has these 2 charity days a year. Maybe you could kind of go more into that and what that entails for the nonprofits that you know for GivePower.
Yeah, we've been doing it for almost 2 years, and our next one's actually next month. So within the next couple weeks, we'll actually be doing a voluntary day that we have twice a year, where our representatives that commit ahead of time will donate 50% of everything that they do. All their work proceeds will go towards GivePower that day. And last year we did $12,000. This year we hope to do 25 and continue to just, you know, increase and double that over time. So I think we'll actually have a really good shot at that this time because we have more talent. We don't have COVID that's like right upon us and messing up our lives and schedules. So I'm very optimistic about November 14th, I believe.
November 14th.
And so we'll be keeping tabs on that day and shooting for the stars.
So Aparna, there are a lot of different nonprofits that put a lot of focus on clean water, especially using wells and bottled water and whatnot. How would you say that GivePower is distinguishing themselves from these other nonprofits that are so well known?
Our technology is very unique, one of a kind, because we haven't gone the route of wells, digging holes in the ground. We've gone the route of utilizing solar panels. So we take a 50 kilowatt solar system, attach it to a 135 kilowatt hour battery, and the electricity that generates is used through our patented technology to desalinate water. So that really makes us very unique in the industry, in the nonprofit world, makes us very sustainable. So that gives villagers in that area 20 years of access to clean drinking water. Each of our solar water farms produces 70,000 liters of clean water every day. And you guys, that means 35,000 people daily get access to that. And then the second thing, our partners. We've become a movement. And we've become a movement thanks to people like the team at Harness. You know, when Dan and I first met, I think, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, what was it, 5-6 years back? About 6 years. So we both worked at Solar City, and I still remember the training room where Dan Dunn and I met for the first time. It was Vegas, I think, right? And I remember being so blown away by not just his skill set in, you know, explaining what solar can do for a homeowner, but more than anything else, just his commitment, his drive to the mission of why clean energy, why solar. So it was no surprise when I found that one of our most successful and favorite partners is a company called Harness. And so our partners make us unique.
Aparna, what would you say is the most valuable thing that you have learned from working with GivePower, and how are you incorporating that into your life?
Oh, hands down, it is meeting the people that we go out and help. So we call our journeys when we go out and when we put a system in place in a village or in a country, we call it a trek. It's an 8-day journey where a team goes out into a village in one of our countries, and firsthand we put solar on a school. And so we light up a school, we do the digging, the trenching, the installing, all of that good stuff. And the moment when we flip the switch, we call it a lighting ceremony the night before. And it's like you can see it in their eyes, literally and figuratively, the gift of light. They've now been given an opportunity to break free from the life that they know and go out and pursue their dreams. I had conversations with kids that were teenagers in different ages, from 8 years old all the way to 19, 20. And it was amazing to hear their dreams, their hopes, their aspirations. Even though they live in poverty, their dreams are to be a doctor, to be a lawyer, to be a teacher, to be a kite surfer, and all of those things. And it just made me realize that no matter where we live, our dreams, our hopes, our goals in life are still the same. And so that really is the best part of working for GivePower. Elon Musk once said that I believe ordinary people can choose to be extraordinary. And it's such a powerful statement because, we don't have to be born superheroes with some crazy God-gift talent. All we got to do is just choose to do good from the life that we have. And so I see that every day in our partners, both in our partners and in the people we go out and help.
When you went back to Kiunga, Kenya, maybe you can kind of talk about the impact that bringing clean water had made on the villagers, especially the children. I think a lot of people don't know the impact of clean water and how that can change their lives as well.
Yes. So the partnership that we have with Harness is that for every installation, Harness donates to GivePower so that we can provide children and adults with access to clean water. Here is why this partnership is so significant and important. Elena, to your question about Kiunga, Kenya, when we went into that village to install the very first solar water farm, our very first foray into desalination, we met kids in that village that were covered in open sores from head to toe, because their bodies had consumed so much salinity in the water that they were drinking. They were drinking, bathing, cleaning, cooking in, that the body couldn't handle it. So it broke out in open sores. We installed our solar water farm. We came back 6 months later for a ceremony with the villagers, and we noticed that it was all gone. The kids were clear of those open sores, simply because the only thing they needed was such a basic necessity that we take for granted oftentimes. And so I really want to underscore how important this partnership is and why, a simple $20 donation, the impact that it can have for 20 years in the life of somebody is beyond priceless.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah.
It is amazing. Why is it important for people who aren't directly impacted by the lack of clean drinking water to care about being involved in this movement?
Just a basic question of human empathy. Once you spend 20 seconds to imagine your life without the clean water that you have access to now, you start feeling very uncomfortable. So put yourself in those shoes. That's what people are facing every day out there. And again, by the year 2025, more and more people are going to be facing that reality. So I think it's an obligation morally. I think it's an obligation that we should naturally feel when we activate the empathy within our own selves. And we have the resources, so let's do it.
I just love the way Dan said, a question of human empathy, because it really is. It boils down to that. Every 90 seconds, a child dies in a developing country because of a waterborne disease. It's a scary stat that the World Health Organization most recently had produced. More than 1 billion people currently on the planet live in water-scarce regions. And so ultimately, you have to ask yourself the question, like Dan said, are we okay with that? Are we okay knowing that someone somewhere doesn't have this basic resource that we have? And I think the answer to that is no, we are not. And we want to unite around it to be able to make sure that, having water, having electricity shouldn't be some big privilege in life. It's a necessity. We should all have access to it.
So I have one final question for the both of you. In what ways do you think that we can impact our environment to support a more healthy and sustainable planet?
I would say just bringing it back home to residential solar. The more roofs we put solar on, the more glass we put out on roofs. I think that is the way we bring the movement of clean energy to the masses. The road ahead for clean energy, in my opinion, is through solar. And so the work that Dan, your team is doing, your leadership is so awe-inspiring. The growth at which the Harness is seeing more and more people find meaningful, passionate jobs at Harness, I think that is the route that we should be taking to really make this movement come to fruition.
Thank you. Yeah, I would echo that. I was going to say rooftop solar. Let's go. So businesses and homes, obviously. Yeah, I agree with that 100%, of course. And then litter, never. And then single-use plastics. Obviously, we live in a world, Uber Eats and Postmates delivering single-use plastics every single day to our house. If you're using those, obviously recycle them. And then I would say like just becoming educated and remaining educated on what's happening in the world at large. Whether you like it or not, there are some negative impacts that will come our way, many negative impacts if we don't start doing little things as a whole. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Clean water, clean air.
Yeah.
We all need it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you both so much for your time. It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully we can have one of these conversations again soon.